Hi, I'm Paul Heyerdahl with Roland here at NAB 2018 with Digital Productions to tell you about the new Roland V60 HD video switcher. Take a closer look at the back side of the V60 on the screen here. Roland has always had video switchers that are either 4 inputs or 8 or more inputs, and the V60 sits in a nice slot where it's a 6-input switcher. On channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 you have SDI connections. On channel 5 and 6 you have HDMI connections, which are both scaled, and on channel 6 you have a choice between HDMI or RGB component. On the output side of things for video, you have 2 SDI outputs, 2 HDMI outputs, and a dedicated multi-view. You can use both your SDIs and your HDMI outputs at the same time, so they're simultaneous use. Keep going across the bottom here. I have a LAN port, which I'll come back to that in a second, and then a USB memory slot on the back to load up still stores as well as to update the unit with firmware updates and whatnot. So if we look back at the front of the unit here, I'll show you our broadcast buttons on the bottom here of the switcher itself. 1 through 6 are going to correlate to your inputs of SDIs or HDMIs, and then 7 and 8 are where your still stores are going to reside, on the unit. Now, of the 4 outputs that you can simultaneously use on the back, you can assign those 4 outputs to one of 3 output paths: either your auxiliary path, this is your aux row here, your program path, or your preview path. So if we take a look at it really quickly and scroll back so you can see the program and the preview situation I have going on here, I can pick and choose and do straight cuts if I want to just do it on my program row, or I can queue something up down below and use my T-bar to make my take. I do have some other transitions built in here too right now, whether it's a mix or a wipe, and my transition time is right here on the front of the unit. So if I'd like to, again, I can either use the T-bar, do straight cuts back and forth, or I can use my auto take button and it'll follow my transition time as well as what I have here. So a nice mix between two different video sources. Another area of this the switcher I'd like to talk about really quickly is we have some composition in here. Not only do we have downstream key built in, but we also have picture-in-picture and a split screen setup. So if I wanted to do a picture-in-picture, I can tap on it, say that I'm going to engage it, and as soon as I use my T-bar, or again, one of my take buttons, it'll bring it in. Now, the picture-in-picture window that we have is in a heart shape, but if I'd like to, I can get into my composition menu, picture-in-picture, and go through a couple different heart, diamond, circle, and then a square. Pretty easy and pretty simple to use on the picture-in-picture side. So, moving forward, I'll just kind of keep moving up the unit here. We have an audio mixer built in. It's an 18-channel audio mixer. All right, where you're going to get those inputs coming from, and I'll switch to a picture of the back side of the unit for you, is I have 4 XLR or 1/4 inch, so they're combo jacks on the back. So 4 mic pre's. 5 and 6 are going to come from your RCA inputs. But then you can also take a stereo feed from each and every single one of your video inputs. So I have 6 there. 6 times 2 is 12, plus another 6 up top, 18-channel audio mixer. It's very, very simple to dive into the menu on the switching unit to control your audio feeds if you'd like to, but we also have a dedicated remote control software that's running on our computer over here, which will work on either Mac or PC computers, and it makes it even easier to use our audio functions. You have your faders, all right here. Each and every single channel has a setup button where I can get into and see my gain. I can see my EQ, my high-pass filters, my gates, my compression. All the parameters are right there and simple and easy to use with the remote control software. Now, I told you earlier when we were looking at the back side of the unit, I was going to come back to this LAN port. All right, the LAN port is what's helping us to control the V60 with the remote control software. So we're coming out of this LAN port, and with the setup that we have on the desk right now, out of the LAN port, we're going into a wireless router in the back here. The wireless router is going out of that and then into the computer so we can control with our remote control software. Now, there's another thing that our wireless router is doing for us, helping us to control this, is it gives us an option for something we call Smart Tally. So Smart Tally is Tally, first of all, is if I want to be able to communicate with the talent on stage as well as the camera operator of who's live, who's on. And in our system and in most systems, anything that's going to be red on your buttons is going to be what's live on your program feed. It'll also communicate green is what's going to be queued up next, so I can do my takes here. So what we've done in this setup is I have 4 iPods sitting up top. I have connected the iPods to the wireless router, just like you would connect to any Wi-Fi network. And then I have taken the IP address from the V60 unit itself and just typed it into a web browser on the iPods. And it allows me to choose channels 1 through 6. And right now you can see on the switcher, I have channel 1 up on my program, and then channel 3 is queued up. And as soon as I do my take, you can see how it switches. So I can set these above a camera that I'm using out in the field and have the talent as well as the camera person know which camera is live and which one's active. Again, I'm Paul Heyerdahl with Digital Productions here at NAB 2018. Thanks for checking out the V60.